Have you ever heard the name of a historical figure and it sounded familiar, but you didn't know who said person really was or what they did? Well, if that's the case, you've come to the right place. I'm going to try and explain the lives of historical figures in a fun and brief yet educative manner. And today we are going to look at the life of Gaius Julius Caesar. He was born on 13th of July 100 BC into the family of a politician carrying the same name. Just 16 years later, his father mysteriously died. How? You guessed it, he was putting on his shoes and suddenly he was dead. Apparently, one other relative of Caesar suffered the same fate. I mean, they must have had some seriously deadly sandals in their family. Anyhow, simply put, young Julius became the head of the family. Luckily, he had a very powerful uncle, one you might have heard of, Gaius Marius. He helped to set him on a path to become a priest. Caesar had to marry Cornelia, who came from a powerful family, to secure his position. Unfortunately for them, Gaius Marius was not the only powerful man in Rome at that time. He had a very good friend named Cornelius Sulla. No, I'm just kidding. These two were not friends at all, quite the opposite. In fact, after the death of Gaius Marius, Sulla came to power and began persecuting all Marius's followers, including Julius Caesar, who had to flee from Rome. Julius started his career as a lawyer. He was also able to get into the army, where he achieved some impressive feats. Thanks to the military victories and his oratory skills, his sphere of influence was slowly growing. During his travels through the Aegean Sea, Julius was captured by pirates. The pirates sold most of the captives into slavery, but Caesar came from a wealthy family, so they decided to ask for a ransom. Originally they asked for 20 talents. Caesar, when he heard this sum, laughed in their faces and suggested that he was worth at least 50. He also jokingly said that once he was free, he was going to come back for the pirates and hang every single one of them. Once the ransom was collected, Caesar got together a fleet and spent almost a year catching pirates. When he finally found those who captured him, he crucified all of them. Now that's a pretty big balls move if you ask me. Turns out, he was really a man of his word. Back in Rome, Julius got into politics. He was rather quickly rising through the ranks. He also served in the military in Hispania. Julius married his second wife Pompeia because Cornelia died while being pregnant. At this time, Caesar was heavily in debt. The cause of this were his projects, which were supposed to gain him popularity. Luckily, he befriended a man named Marcus Licinius Crassus, who was known for being the richest man in Rome. Crassus supported Caesar financially. These two men joined forces with Pompeius Magnus, a well-established Roman general, and they created the first triumvirate, which basically made them the three rulers of Rome. Caesar went on a military campaign into Gaul, which is roughly the region of modern-day France. He spent a couple of years there fighting against the Celtic tribes. He was very successful and became very rich thanks to the loot from the battles. And just for fun, he also led his legions across the sea to conquer Britain, where he was, after several attempts, also successful. Back home, Caesar was gaining more popularity than ever thanks to these victories. The most important one came in year 52 BC, where Julius defeated Vercingetorix and thus he secured Gaul for Rome for good. Meanwhile, Crassus passed away. This meant bad news for Caesar, who at this time was still fighting in Gaul because Pompey took power in Rome. The relationship between Pompey and Caesar was never the best, but now it led all the way to civil war. Pompey ordered Caesar to disband his army. This was of course refused and Caesar started to march with his legions from Gaul to Rome. His armies crossed the river Rubicon and Caesar uttered his famous words, "The die is cast," meaning there was no way back. Shortly before Caesar arrived in Rome, Pompey fled from the city to gather a bigger army. Caesar entered Rome and took power. He appointed many senators loyal to him to secure his position. The armies of Caesar and Pompey met in modern-day Greece and the decisive battle came in August 48 BC near Pharsalus. Caesar's legions were victorious and Pompey fled to Egypt. The ruler of Egypt, Ptolemy XIII, ordered his men to kill Pompey and he presented his head as a gift to Caesar. To his dismay, Caesar was furious. Even though Pompey was his enemy, he was still a well-respected Roman citizen and a great general. Since Ptolemy was also in a bit of a civil war himself, Caesar took the side of his enemy. His elder sister Cleopatra, who supposedly got rolled up inside the carpet which was presented as a gift to Caesar. When Caesar opened the carpet, Cleopatra surprised him and they instantly fell in love. Caesar and Cleopatra had a son together, although Caesar was married to Calpurnia at this time, so their son was illegitimate. Therefore, Caesar didn't choose him as his successor but rather gave this title to Octavius, later known as Augustus, which was perhaps the best decision of Julius's life. Cleopatra, with Caesar's help, won the civil war and Ptolemy drowned in the Nile during the decisive battle. Caesar had to fight one more battle in the east against Pharnaces II. The Roman victory was so quick and decisive that Caesar said his famous words, "I came, I saw, I conquered." During this time, Caesar grew so powerful that many people feared him and they created a secret opposition led by his close friends and relatives, Marcus Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus. These two, along with other senators, constructed a plan to get rid of Caesar. On 15th of March, 44 BC, what is known as Ides of March, Caesar entered the Senate building where 60 senators were waiting for him. They drew their daggers and with 23 stab wounds took the life of the most powerful man in the world. Well, at least he didn't die while putting on his shoes, right? Nevertheless, no matter how heroic the death, Gaius Julius Caesar, a great military leader and a powerful statesman, was now dead.